A&E asked me, Lemonade Langhorne, to talk about a dear old friend of mine, A. Jackie Mason, America's preeminent comic genius. Well, here's what I came up with. A. Jackie and I first met in Folsom Prison, but now he's a free man with the adulation of millions, leading a charmed life of champagne and roses.
Good evening. It's great to be back in Cleveland. I love Cleveland. I love Ohio. Sounds like a folk song, but I do. I love Cleveland. Cleveland is the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A beautiful edifice. A beautiful building. A lot of people don't know. It's great to be in Cleveland. Of course, at my age, it's great to be anywhere. The thing I want you to know, a lot of you people don't know. I, A. Jackie Mason. I started actually on the rock and roll circuit. 1959, what am I doing? Dick Clark asked me to be the opening comic on the Winter Dance Party tour. Mile after mile in a miserable bus, but the company was great. It was the great Eddie Cochran, Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and a young Mexican lad who was a wonderful band, Ricardo Valenzuela, better known as Richie Valens. Together, all of us touring. And my God, the great tragedy. I hate to start on a dour note, but the great tragedy. They want to do their laundry in Clear Lake, Iowa. They get on a plane. They take their laundry. Me, how did I survive? Me and Waylon Jennings, the only survivors of that crash. The crash that killed Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Richie Valens. How did I, A. Jackie Mason, survive? I tell you, it was just pure MS, pure stupid luck. How did I survive? I go looking in the middle of the night for some gefilte fish. I take Waylon Jennings with me. I go, you're from Arizona. What do you know from gefilte fish? You're a cowboy. Let me teach you about gefilte fish. You teach me about roping some cows. So we set off at 9 o'clock. You know how hard it is to find gefilte fish in the middle of the night in Sioux City, Iowa. Needless to say, we're not there when the plane takes off, and that's how I survived. So I feel a very strong empathetic reaction when I come to Cleveland. Cleveland, the home of Deborah Winger, a wonderful Jewess. Cleveland, a wonderful place.
Yeah, things be going good for Jackie at this point in his life.
But I have a lot on my mind.
But it wasn't too long ago, he didn't be hearing no applause. He'd be hearing the sounds of jail cell doors closing on his ass. You see, when I first met the boy, he was a skinny string bean out of Lima, Ohio. Whiter than they come. Looked like he'd been holed up in a trailer park for all his natural-born days. He'd be hanging out with the boys in the pool house, doing all kinds of mischief and bad things. I was living on the criminal circuit as well.
What the hell went wrong? What the hell am I doing with my life?
Yeah, the boy always
This
had a
is
love
my
of
town.
gambling. He'd been losing all his money on a
Am I
constant
born
basis.
to just wander disconsolately down these same grim Norman Rockwell streets, or what?
You notice how skinny he'd
What
be
the hell's
there?
wrong with my legs? I've been riding too many sway-backed mares, or did that chick put my joint out of whack? I don't know. It's one of those days where I couldn't quite find my sea legs. Old Solid Dan, though, he's never at a loss. Let me smoke some more of this muggle, a little tea here, and see what it gets me thinking.
He'd be revealing too much because I done sold him that dope.
Oh, that's some good stuff.
This was years before it became fashionable for the
Maybe down to
younger
Chinatown,
people
get some more as soon
to
as I
be
get some more.
imbibing the smoke of the herb.
Yeah, let me see what old Danny's up to. Maybe he can help me out of a fix if I act wearied and battered enough. Yeah, now he buys my depression. He's gonna be a pal in more ways than one.
The 1930s was the time of the Great Depression. There wasn't be that much money around for people to be stealing. I tried to counsel young A. Jackie into getting into a more lucrative endeavor, but the boy never be listening to me. He would brush me aside and go on his own way.
What would you take me for?
Always hard-headed he
Anything I
was
wanna
then.
buy? Some bubble gum? Doesn't he know that Jake's sitting there, ready to meat cleaver me down for the big grain? No can do, Dan says. You know,
Always looking for some spare change to pay off his gambling debts.
gotta spend all my money on that white picket fence. Boy, I'm fed up with people. Look at this bonehead.
Look at A-Jack and Nesson on the verge of starvation. Skinny little frame and
What is
all.
this guy? Won't help a right guy like me out in my hour of need, making me walk funny again at that.
The only good times he ever had is when he came over to my side of town to sample some live jazz.
Currency, though. He's gonna rub that money so much, Ben Frank's gonna come off in his hands.
I always tried to be helping the
He's got it
boy.
all figured out, huh? Washing his hands of the matter, huh? That's what I am to him, huh? Just throw me to the wolves, why don't you? What is he, Pontius Pilate in heat? But lock the doors and know what time it is at all times. When things are going wrong, you gotta take some action.
Yes, this rare footage has been recovered from the National Archive. This was one of the first experimental secret hidden cameras that J. Edgar Hooven be using back then.
Just ain't the fit.
He used to hide the camera inside the trunk of a tree, sometimes in the shoeshine box that I'd be using.
For me.
Unbeknownst to Jackie and me, we was being filmed the entire time, doing our early years in crime. Our criminal exploits were nothing compared to the gangs of today. I just want to put that on the public record. We were more into harmful mischief. Smoking a little herb and doing a little gambling.
Idyllic for these clowns.
This was nothing like the mass warfare of today gangs. Jackie was a good boy, really. Just a little bit
I had
confused.
to kind of figure everything out here.
If only him and me had been born a couple of years later,
I can't.
we would have been considered existentialists in a mode of camoose.
But there again, whose hide is it?
But nobody cared about us then. We was out on our own. We had to be left to our own devices.
Finger on that green.
That's what established a bond between the two of us.
Number one. These two chuckleheads.
We became quite tight and bounded, as they say today. Fully licensed and bounded like a fine alcoholic liquor.
Everything. And who is she, Miss Clara Bow?
Some would say that, compared to his Don Quixote, I was a regular Samsung Poncho. We was inseparable.
A hep cat like me can put some
Yep,
moves on.
we was two insufferable people. Always together, totally insufferable.
Let me just jimmy this little door open here.
For a black man in that time and a white boy,
Hey, that's
we was tight as could be. The little rascals looked like a bunch of Nazis compared to us. Now look at him now, Mr. Big Time.
I remember the last commercial I did, Night in Newark. The new essence, the new fragrance, Night in Newark. Private little company, Ma Bone.
Notice he'd be putting some weight on his bones, too.
A classy fragrance for the, shall I say, private parts of women. Night in Newark. The first feminine deodorant to come in a roll-on.
When I've been knowing Jackie, he would never wear a canary-colored shirt like that.
Hard-working, beautiful.
Look at these fine Italian treads the boy be wearing
You
now.
want to get a little after work? Some young stud working in the office wants to stoop you on top of the desk.
Crowds of 20,000 be turning out to hear this.
Your private feminine deodorant has failed. What do? You reach for the new convenient roll-on Night in Newark.
This boy's a regular Lenny Bruce of Generation Hex.
They paid well there. What could I say? They paid very well.
I'm directing traffic.
Yeah, but Jackie and I had some bad times in the big stone house. That big iron hotel where they put us. When we got out, Jackie had been turned out. It seems a certain cellmate of his made Jackie his bitch, his wife. I tried to be his husband and his father confessor,
Sure is big. I'm lost.
but poor Jackie, he met up with the wrong crowd inside. Notice his high-pitched voice when he began out. There's me. I got myself an honest job and tried to steer Jackie in that
I
direction.
love washing dishes. Getting the grease and grime off gives me a feeling.
Listen to that high-pitched voice.
Homosexual sex would have never given me on 42nd Street.
Boy, they're confused. His identity be totally ripped off.
Yeah, all she cares about that money.
Me, I be understanding women from the ground up.
Ooh, I just love what we did last night.
I had a way with women,
Let's
that's
get
right.
lost. Just where's Columbus Circle anyway?
Poor Jackie struggled, though. Look, he's getting
Somebody help me
skinnier.
with this piano?
Man, I've done been playing piano before.
That's me in my younger days, looking very handsome, if I do say so myself.
Monk when I met him in Korea.
Here I
I
am,
heard that story
trying to educate the boy.
I'm getting tired of all the slugging stuff around the city.
Boy, you ain't even lugged nothing yet.
It's funny. Isn't it funny the way the white man is exploiting both of us? And me, by myself, I'm a Caucasian? Boy, you ain't never gonna learn until I wise your ass up.
Always trying to help the
Currently
boy.
being what it is and everything. Let me tell you about
This is me exerting some good influence upon the boy. Incidentally, these photographs have been taken by the Catawba Committee on Crime. You see, they tracked us with a secret hidden camera again in the late 1950s after we were getting out of the joint.
Back in that windbreaker that looks
These have
like
been recovered from the National Archive just for this special.
Windbreaker? I am putting it down. I'm saying you're beginning to look like a clown to me, boy.
Why was we of such interest to the
You're
government?
one of them Western stars.
Neither of us Communist Party members.
Anyway.
Never been called before the House Un-American Activity
Boy,
Committee,
you ain't never gonna learn a thing.
but I was able to recover all this rare footage.
About those girls. Girls? Yeah. Do you think there's something for me, like black women, that could really enjoy a guy like me?
That's when I began to realize Jackie had been more than raped in prison. Somehow I think the warden was a scientist that rewired his brain lobes. I think his central hemisphere's been played with.
You mean I could go up
Because soon enough, as you notice, this simple rube from Ohio, about ready to be turned into a big city of Jewish Italy.
Really?
They must have been working something funny on him.
You think I'm like that white man that be
They
lying?
took him to room number 41, someplace where nobody ever been before, and began experimenting on the boy.
You learn, man. Did I get you to read
You will notice the transitions when they appear.
Did I tell you about Fidel Castro up in the hills? Yes, but revolution really is not the best answer.
Now this part been looped in because we never talked about revolution back then. I think the government been playing with both our lives, trying to make us sound like some kind of communists or something.
Boy, I think you're beginning to wise up under my tutelage. Yes, you're a very wise
Yeah, I'm
man.
trying to exert some influence upon the boy.
You gotta act like me rather than just give me lip service.
But what can you do with white people? They like corn pone hidden at the bottom of the Cracker Barrel. And now look at him. You notice some supple changes in his physical appearance.
Jew who was recently departed. Not only that, he died.
Do you notice?
Mr. Allen,
When he was in prison,
another man who thrived.
I think they'd be playing with his mind. I think they did some secret indoctrination that make him learn Hebrew and some of the Yiddish
Poetry
language.
started to sound like the bop musicians.
You heard about the CIA doing all kinds of LSD experiments? I think they done took this simple prisoner and turned him into a big comedian.
Why do we remember Allen?
Why? Because every generation been needing a rebel
Asked
voice.
you to give a blow.
Somebody to rally the youth to.
That is why we remember.
That way the CIA can keep tabs on all the rebels that come into the show and listen to
They
them.
don't mind if you go down.
That happened with Leonard Bruce and Mort
One or the
Saul.
other.
You see, they use these comedian figureheads to monitor what be going on out in society.
Allen Ginsberg, the last Jew to give a good blowjob.
Now here you implicate Ginsburg in some
They call
shit.
The book Howl.
As far as I know, Ginsburg be a good
Jackie
boy.
Mason. When I was in the Coast Guard off the coast of Jersey, I was telling you.
We used to play mahjong together.
He gave me a blowjob.
We used to go down Washington Square and play chess.
All the way in Fort Lee.
Now I notice the press be branding Ginsburg as a homosexualist. I never know the boy to be with anything other than pussy. But look at Jackie. I told him, boy, they ain't ever gonna let your comedian antics on regular television. It ain't exactly like Ted Mack or Ed Sullivan, they're looking for you. So you better get yourself a cable program. Sure enough, he did, but at this point, he'd be completely gay.
Gore Vidal's extraordinary article.
Due to government experimentation upon him, he'd be rewired into a person with a certain urge toward people of his own gender.
I mean, like you do in this magazine.
His voice would even be higher than when he was skinny.
Gorgeous tattoos. Oh yeah, I do.
Incidentally, that hat be stolen from me when I was preparing my stage musical, Farrakhan on Ice.
We believe in helping people. This is a combination of chrome.
Here he is trying to pawn himself off as a Muslim gay guy.
I'm a people person.
You see, when he came out to join, I hardly be knowing him anymore. All these changes. First, he's a young, skinny gambler from Ohio. Then, all of a sudden, he'd be a gay white Muslim from Venice Beach.
Atlantic Monthly for a little while with George
But at least I enjoyed this show because that pug of Brownwitz be one outspoken fellow. Although I don't be agreeing with none of his Aryan motorcycle antics, I believes in the real America where everybody free to speak their mind.
Biker Parties magazine. It's a magazine you can't put down. Fascinating on every page. There is. There's babes every page. The doll. I don't know tits. You got
What be wrong with the boy's voice?
Those unpublished writings. Well, I love that little frog. Now there's a guy. He could remind me of Jim Morrison, only he was younger. And it's so strange. Some of them predict.
Now, if my old friend A. Jackie isn't a good argument against a PRISM system, I don't know what is. The boy that totally changed around into a state of debasement.
Picasso print. It was 1919. I don't know if the camera can pick it up. That guy was sus. Pablo Picasso.
This is not the A. Jackie I'd be knowing in the old days.